Covered in piss.
You heard that? We're back. Well, and then we're off again
Are we
for
recording?
a few weeks.
Morning.
Yeah, we are recording. Hello and welcome to the Red Report. This is our Midsummer catch-up, sponsored by Barnsley Sport, and of course part of the TalkSport network of fans. They say a week is a long time in football. Well, these 3 weeks have felt like a couple of days because so much has happened. It was time to reassemble. The crew is back. Ian in a new house. Ian, how's the Wi-Fi working?
Very well, fingers crossed.
Can't hear you, mate. What?
Yeah. Welcome to sunny Lancashire, where the listener comes first.
Hey, always a winner.
This is where the Red Report magic happens.
Oh, I tell you. And the other half of that happens in the boudoir where Steve, he's not in the West Wing today. There's not a piano inside.
No pianos.
But he has poured himself a glass of orange WD, or is it hooch? I don't even know what you're drinking these days. Probably back from a day on the golf course.
Gin and orange. Gin and orange. Beautiful.
Gin and orange. It's the future. Steve Andrews is with us as well. Steve, how are you?
Very well, sir. Thank you. Very well indeed.
Very good. So, obviously, a couple of topics that I feel we need to talk about. The first one is the search for a head coach. I mean, by all means, you get the same airtime. I don't want to spend too much time talking about the one that's gone because he's within his right to do so. We played some fantastic football, good memories. Shame he couldn't see it out and get us promoted. But that then leaves becomes a bit of an issue, doesn't it? We'll start with you, Ian, because pre-season has started. Lads are back in training, although there's no Duff. Patterson's now gone, and Martin Devaney, I think, has just landed back from Dubai, but that's another matter. No head coach. Does that mean no direction? Does that mean, what we need somebody in, and we need somebody in quickly, don't we?
We do. I think my little subtitle says it right, where it says "Royal enough Duff," because it's just that rinse and repeat in it. We're back to square one again. I just from that optimism coming back from playoff final on that coach, we did our last recording the day after, didn't we? With Adam Oxley. Yeah. And we were looking forward. Yes, we knew Mads might go. We knew people were coming for Duff, but we were like, we'll hit the ground running in August. Got a couple of good transfer windows. Really optimistic. And now I just feel like the rug's been pulled right under again. And you're back to starting where we were this time last season. Starting from scratch. You'll have a turnover, a load of staff again. We won't start playing any decent form till probably October again, like we did last season. And it's just 8th permanent manager in 5 years. How on earth are you ever going to build any stability off that? I'm naffed off, if I'm honest.
Steve, there's a saying that says, if you do what you've always done and you expect different results, that's a bit of like the way you describe being a bit of an idiot. We are a victim of our own success, I think, because he was a fantastic appointment and obviously proved that. But how can we avoid this happening again? I mean, Ian just mentioned how many managers we've had. The last time we had a manager for 2 seasons was 2009, I believe, which seems a very long time ago. Well, it is a very long time ago. What is the way around this? What is the way? Are we looking at a release fee for that going up as the season gets on? Or if you get promoted, how can we avoid, when we do make a fantastic appointment, keeping that appointment for at least 2 seasons?
You can't. Simple as that, I believe.
Next question, then.
Moving on. Lovely outside, beautiful weather. No, you can't. Barnsley, unfortunately, is always going to be, as players and managers have said, a stepping stone to something better. And yeah, they have a look at Ishmael, had a fantastic season, went. Duff had a fantastic season, gone. And we do suffer from that. We get a good man in. Everybody now is going to have a release clause in the contract. No matter who they are, it's just way of the world now. And if another club thinks they can do as good a job for them, and they've got the money, and at the end of the day, money talks, they're going to take them. The only way you're going to keep a manager for 2 seasons is if he's crap. We'd have kept Marcus Schopp for years. Marcus Schopp would have been with us for years and years and years. But unfortunately, it's the way of football. It's the way of the market. It's a business. And you can't, I can't have a go at the board because Duff's taking money. Simple as that. And whichever side of the fence you sit on, if somebody offered you an extra 20 or 30,000 pound a week, Christ, you're going to be off like a shot. What really pisses me off is the fact that he was stopping for long term, and he came out with all this bullshit. If you are going to be looking for another club and not stopping longer than 12 months, don't come out with all this. I'm here for long run, and I'm in it with rest at team, and it's something I'm going to carry on, because obviously it ain't something that you're going to carry on, because somebody comes in with big bucks and it's thanks very much, see you later. You can't combat that. You can't combat that.
No, I mean, there's nothing I suppose that you could put in place. You could say that actually a full season is a long time in football. He did the full season, and I can't help but think that because we overachieved, maybe it was job done. Maybe that's the highest. You know what I mean? That's probably the best we could have done, except for those last 3 seconds. But let's not go back to that. I'll stay with you then, Steve, before we go to Ian with the same question. There's head and heart, isn't there? Yeah. Who would you like to see coming in? But realistically, who can you see coming in?
I'll do realistically first. Knowing Barnsley as we do, it wouldn't surprise me if Devaney gets a gig. Whether he can step up from the coaching role to the actual main man is yet to be seen. I think if they do give it Devaney, they need to bring in an experienced number 2 to work with him. Don't ask me who that would be. And I think that is a realistic way forward for us, because at least then you'd think that he's maintaining the ethic, the work ethics, and the things that Duff have put in place. Who do I want? I haven't got a clue. I think you can speculate about your Chris Wilders and your Nathan Joneses, etc. I ain't got a prayer. We're not going to pay that sort of money. Wake up and smelt coffee. We ain't going to pay that sort of money. So you can go on about them sort of managers for as long as you want.
Sorry, and I get that completely. If money was an issue, you bring Pep in. That's not going to happen. But if there was something, you look at the betting market at the moment. So you got Nathan Jones, Chris Wilder, both top 2-1, 4-1 on Martin Devaney, Dave Chellinor is 6-1, Steve Cotterill is 10-1, and Darren Moore is 12-1. Now, a lot of them
leave it. I can't understand people wanting Darren Moore. Did they not watch 3 games against Sheffield Wednesday and shite football that Wednesday played? I can't get my head around that. I really can't.
But if he fell out at Sheffield Wednesday, came out today, Chanziri's come out with the reason, because he wanted, I think, 3 times his wage that he was on before for getting him promoted. So I know we probably won't be able to afford Wilder. If a new investor came in and said, I'll help you and do this, and they bring him in, would somebody like a Chris Wilder, would that appeal to you? That sort of figure, that experience? Or do you say, I know we can't afford him, but ultimately, isn't that what you'd like to see?
Not necessarily, to be quite honest. For me, Chris Wilder did well at United, didn't do a great deal at Middlesbrough. Nathan Jones, no, not particularly. If they're going to stick to the up-and-coming manager, Challinger's a shout, definitely. Done a good job. That guy at, is it Notts County?
Yeah.
Who's done well with them in the last season?
Williams,
do you go down that route? I really can't. I don't want them to go down European route again. God, I hope not, unless it's somebody well known or something like that. But I just have a gut feeling that this time round it's nailed on for Devaney. I really do.
What about you, Ian? Heart?
I think realistically they'll go cheap. Whether that's Devaney, I don't think it will. I don't know, but I think he'd rather be a number 2 or in the academy and stuff like that. He's clearly not gone to Swansea, so he's going to stay in some capacity. I think Challinor might be a good shout. His sides press really well. He's done. I mean, they've had. Let's face it, Stockport's chucked a hell of a lot of money to get out of that National League, but he has done quite well. I don't think the likes of Nathan Jones and Moore and Wilder will get it, because I think they'll want a transfer kitty, which we haven't got, and they'll want paying a decent wage, which they can't afford. Let's face it, this board haven't got a pot to pay in. So I think, but if I said Hart, I'd like one of them. I mean, I know Steve's saying about Darren Moore, but he got Sheffield Wednesday up. They nearly went up last season. So I'll give the alternative view that he knows how to get a team out of that division. But I don't. Will I think somebody like that will come? No, I think they'll go cheap.
Yeah. It's strange, because then the next question to you both is, how do we get out of that cycle then? Because we know owners can't just pump boatloads of money in because fair play, blah, blah, blah. So you either try and get more people buying season tickets, but to buy season tickets, people have to have faith in the club. To have faith in the club, you know your head coaches, you know your players are, there's that style. And Barnsley, as a club, has gone over. We've had many different ways, shapes, or forms over the past few seasons. Granted, the last one was absolutely fantastic, and it felt like we were one again. We've done nothing but praising the board. It's a risk then, isn't it? In the current economic climate for this club, you both said, we'll go cheap. I love Martin Devaney. As a manager, he's not really proven it yet. I mean, I'd rather see him as a really good number 2 and keep that link and the ethics and everything else. So it's always going to be a gamble. And sometimes it works. You know, it worked with Ismail. It worked with Stendhal. It worked with Duff. But in between those, we've had some names that I even can't remember or don't really want to say because I'm going to have my tea later and I don't want to be sick, but I don't want to have another shopper Asbaghi in my hand. What can they have learned? Does it have to be an English manager that's used to this league? Because that narrows it, but that also then shoots the price up. I'm just wondering, if we could go to the boardroom now, what sort of discussions are going off? Are they looking and saying, well...
You've got to think as well. So we went up. Say we beat Wednesday and we went up. Would Duff have stayed? Or would Swansea still have come in and still have offered him silly money because we still wouldn't have offered him silly money that Swansea were? So you've got that scenario. So you get somebody in now, young, upcoming, English, foreign, whatever, and they have that success and you're back to that business model and that plan, and they get us up next season. There's still nothing saying that another club with more money is going to come in and say, oh, he's done well. Look, he's just taken Barnsley up. Let's offer him 30 grand a week more. You're still going to be stuck with that. And your other one, which I'll just throw in because I like throwing odd little bit in, you're going to get a manager in. What happens if you don't want Devaney as his number 2?
I mean, I think there'll be a role for Devaney in the academy.
Yeah,
because that's what he's done. And I think Devaney is a bit of I wouldn't say a homebird because I think he's very ambitious, but he has got a coaching company, you know, that's doing extremely well besides this. And I just think if he was to take the moment Devaney signs the head coach role contract, he's signing his own death warrant almost, isn't he? Because the moment you get sacked, there's no coming back from that. They don't say, listen, it didn't work out with the first team, but you can have the under 23s because they don't. So then his time at Barnsley FC is up, isn't it? So it's a really difficult one. And the thing is as well, and listen, I wish Michael Duff well, I do, but then you look, Stendhal tried it elsewhere.
I don't.
I know. Look, Stendhal is back coaching the Hanover 96 second team, which is where he was before we brought him in. Ismail, a hit and miss, didn't really go at West Brom, went to Broad Turkey, wasn't it? Tried it there, didn't really go. Yeah. Now he's back again at Watford, I believe. So I think those managers went inside with having one of the youngest squads available, because that type of football wouldn't have worked for Sheffield Wednesday, for instance, with Bannon and some of the players, because it wouldn't, because you need those young, energetic players. and the only name that I see in there that I think that could carry a bit of weight is the Stockport manager, who is used to this, maybe not, League One, but he's not far off, is he? And he don't have to really move that far, because Stockport, but we know it's not far. It's a logical step for him, but then the worry is again, he proves himself, and next year we sit here and say, well, we are Championship. We're looking for another manager again, though. So it's up. Let's have a discussion about what we've got left. Duff's gone. Do we reckon any of the loans we had last season, not that one, Steve, will come back? So when you think of a Bobby Thomas, I now think Bobby Thomas will probably be a Swansea player next season.
Yeah, I don't think so, because let's face it, the club scored an own goal in not signing Eisted. It was on a plate. Yeah. He wanted to sign. He came out and said he wanted to sign. We know a League Two club offered him more money. than his current side, and he still turned it down because he wanted to stay. And then obviously probably Duff going has probably thought, right. So if he's gone now, you're not telling me those loanees are going to come back and go, well, I don't know if this bloke might not play me. Look at what Luke Thomas has done. Luke Thomas has gone because he wants to play regular football. Joey Barton's told him, I'll play you every week. So if you were under the regime of Duff and fair play, that there was a great atmosphere in the camp, but you think, well, I don't know who's going to be in charge. He might not like me and he might not play me. So I don't think many of them will come back at all.
Steve, do you want any of them back? Not that one.
Not that one. Definitely not. Not unless he's sweeping up. And I don't mean behind back four either. Obviously, I'd take Bobby Thomas back in a heartbeat. I think the worrying thing for me is not will any of the loan players come back. It's what other first team players are thinking now that Duff's gone. Are wanting to jump. I mean, Mads is going, and I can't fault the lad. He deserves it. He deserves a good move, big money move, and hopefully it'll make us some money, so we can do a little bit of business in transfer market at some point. But it just makes you wonder who else is thinking now. You know, maybe grass is greener somewhere else. Maybe a move to Swansea is going to get me another £20,000 or £30,000 a week, because there'll be players, possibly like your Connells, that there's no saying Duff won't come back and say and offer silly money for players that we like, but he liked even more. That's the worrying thing for me.
I have to be honest. I was asked to answer some questions for 442 magazine, and one of the questions was the one to watch, and I picked Connell out because I think, again, in this division, I think it's really good that he gets another year. But is he going to be the next one?
Do we have to draw the line? I think there was a stat last season that I think of so many years, we are one of the top sides who've played in the Championship more than most others in the history or whatever. Yeah. Do we have to realistically now turn round today and say, we lower the bar? We are really third-tier English football, because every time we get a crap manager, he gets sacked. We get a really good one, he gets poached. So we're back to square one. So any of the better players who come from the Championship or Premier League, who like Thomas and that, who come on loan, don't stay, get better offers. So do we have to set the bar and say, with this board, we are really just League One, and if we get to the Championship, it's a bonus? Because I would like to think that the bar is a bit higher and we could become a stable Championship club, like Preston, that type of, who's top 10, flirting with the playoffs. I don't expect us to be going for the Premier League, but just stable. So you're not not this yo-yoing. But at the minute, how are we ever going to, one, get into the Championship and two, stay there? Maybe we just have to lower our expectations and then not be roiling aft off, because really we are just a stepping stone, a selling club, and maybe third tier of English football is where we're going to be for the next few years.
Yeah, and I agree with that. And I think because of the board that we have, they're financially quite astute, as in they're not going to gamble. So we are self-sufficient almost, but I think that's then a time because of that, we're not paying that little bit more. And I'm not saying we need to go all out to pay 60 grand a week for somebody, but I do feel that sometimes they say, well, better off Division 1 and we don't have to put any money in, or do we top it up a little bit? I mean, if Max goes, we read the other day, didn't we? Morris went for 1.3 million, I believe. You hope there's a sign up. You hope there's a clause.
How many goals did he score for Luton? 20 plus?
Yeah, exactly. Coley Woodrow, he went to Luton. Like, is there some money to come? Was there a promotion clause in there? I mean, I don't know. Was there? There is 500 grand or whatever is coming for Duff. Mads Andersen. I mean, I'm not being funny. I know clubs will only pay what they think is worth. Mads Andersen is fantastic. He is Championship quality, maybe higher. You must also not forget what he was like when he first came here. But he had moved from abroad, so he needed that COVID season, didn't he? But to another club, it might have been a bit of a risk. And I'm not willing to pay more than 1.2 million. Barnsley will be going, that's 1.2 million, that's towards our transfer kitty or whatever. But actually, what he's worth to us is not the same. He might go to Luton and he might start on the bench every week. Well, they're not going to pay more than 1.2, 1.3 other, because you're not going to shell 3-4 million out for somebody who doesn't come off the bench. So where is the money coming from? And where the next question for you both is, where do we now need to spend that? So we know Mads will be going. Where do we need to spend the money? What do we need to buy to make a difference to last season and maybe get over the line before the playoffs start? Or do we say we just need to finish mid-table? There is maybe is there a rift again between the fans and clubs? I don't know. We'll talk about that in a bit. But what's more important, stability of the club, or is it again? Because if you finish, listen, we got to the final, we lost in the last 3 seconds. Our fans now expecting the board and the club to go one better and not even have to compete in this playoffs. Ian, where do you sit? What's the expectations?
I'm firmly glass half empty. I think I'm mid-table. It all depends on the appointment. Duff reinvigorated the place. Maybe the next man can. Where do we need to strengthen? I think we've already got the reinforcements at the back. McCarthy is coming back in here, be like a new signing again. Yeah. You've still got Kitchen for the minute. Is Jasper Moon back at the new signing? Jasper Moon back at the club. Is he going to stay? I don't know. I think we've got cover. Plus, I think we've got enough there. The keeper situation's probably resolved now that Collins will be number 1, which is what we were used to. The midfield, as long as it depends, as long as we don't lose the likes of Connell or whatever. But a few more goals wouldn't go amiss, I think, because they dried up for Cole near the end, didn't they? And he does go in bursts. So I'd probably say a striker. Well, we've not seen anything of Ollie Shaw. What's happened to him? Signed him on a 2-year deal. He don't get anywhere to sniff near the squad. Did he fall out with Duff? We don't know. Well, I'd say goals. We need goals, a bit more.
Betty Cotter said to a fan, they asked him, what do you think now Duff's leaving? He says, well, I got a gaffer in that will give me a game. So, there is players that we have. You mentioned Ollie Shaw, Betty Cotter. There are players there that maybe have shown, maybe Cotter more glimpses, Steve, of maybe actually somebody will come in and say, well, Williams is all right going forward, but I'm going to start with Cotter. I want to see what he can do. And is there any players on the fringes, Steve, that you'd like to see more of next season?
Yeah, I mean, some of the younger guys that played sort of in Pizza Cup and what have you, a couple of them looked handy. Carlo's been away with Portugal and had a really good time with them. So maybe it's time that he started. I'm not saying started as a first team regular, but spent a bit more time with first team on bench, coming on for, last 15, 20 minutes, etc. Money wise, I agree with Ian, and we say it every season, but I think this season it's certainly more prevalent that we do need somebody to put ball in the back of the net. Norwood's not going to play 90 minutes. He's not going to be a 90-minute player. He's going to be either an impact sub or first 45, I think. Cole, like you say, is fits and starts. Hopefully Matty Wolf can come back and not have the angst of his injury in the back of his head, and can come back as good as he was and improve. Because I must say I would look forward to seeing Connell and Wolf in the same side, because I think they could work well together. I mean, there's always the option of dropping Williams into that right-hand centre-half role of a back three, which he's played before, and Barry Cotter, which will give you a lot of pace on that right-hand side. Just not very much defending, that's all. But I think striker has got to be a primary buy. But that's just us saying that. I mean, your manager might come in and say, "Oh, I need a defensive midfielder, or I need another left back," or do you know what I mean? You cannot speculate who's going to take over main role that's going to pick side, and that's going to be again another problem.
Right, next topic then, lads. Julian Key put on Twitter this morning, I love the kits. I love these images. I love the team that designed them and worked on them so diligently. I love the players and talents that wore them and the photographers that took the pics. I love the fact that winning is being Barnsley. It's a spirit, it's grit, it's passion, and it's fierce. Now, I'll give my. I'll give.
on the floor.
Oh, big build up, big build up. I like big butts, and I cannot lie.
I'll give you my thought. I think with her background, I completely agree that you need to have what does this mean? What what's Barnsley going to be about? And if it's going to be about winning as being Barnsley, then that's great. If we don't lose in the last 3 seconds, you know what I mean. I do find personal opinion, and we're all entitled on them. I agree with Steve. If you don't like the kit, don't buy it. I've just found it. I find the home kit a bit Captain America-ish. Yeah. The stars remind me a little bit of like the star stripes. It's all a bit American. I love the black kit with the other badge, the retro badge. I think that's an absolute winner. I find it also, when I said it before we started, I think it's really hard to find a balance, because if you constantly have a red shirt with a white trim, we need something different. Then you do something different. People think, why don't we just keep it traditional? So I don't think you can please everybody all the time.
Never going to win.
No, it just feels that it feels a bit like, so what are we going to do? Are we going to bring something? Yeah, let's bring something new in. Or should we go really outrageous? Let's go really outrageous. Put 3 giant, because I don't know what the stars stand for. Like, I loved it before when it had the motto, Spectre, like really, like it was in the material. You could read it. I don't know what these stars are for. Is that for the number of managers we had in the first time we had stars on the? Is that?
Okay, keep going, Carlo, lad. Jesus Christ. You take your tablets today, bloody hell.
No. I said, and I know it's really hard. I just don't understand where they come from. So when you look back, the first time we used stars on our shirts, so it's retro, get that. But it wasn't a great season. We finished 19th and had 3 managers. Like, it's not like we won the cup that year or the season we went up. So I get the retro. I just don't understand the stars. And then I think, if you want to aim it at an American market, I don't think League One club will do massive business in America. So it just feels a little bit far for me. Maybe I'm more of a conservative fan, and therefore I like the black kit with the retro badge. The retro badge to me that's going far enough. You don't want to push it out. You know what I mean? You don't want to go too far. So thoughts on the shirts? I'll start with Ian first, because he's already laughing.
You've been waiting to get that lot off your chest, haven't you?
Yeah, yeah.
Get me a drink, love. Make it a double. Anyway, go on.
I'm not blown away by the home shirt. It may grow on me. I like the collar, I must admit. I'm not keen on how it fades to white at the bottom. I think the US Mobile sign is too big on all the shirts, but I do like the centre badge. I'm a big fan of having the centre badge. And I love the white and I love the black kit. I think I like the white and the red striped socks. And the black kit looks great. Black and gold is fantastic. So I think for me, 2 out of the 3 are superb. I think the whole one's got a bit unfair stick today on TalkSport and Daily Star and stuff. And quite a few people have pointed out, who don't follow Barnsley, have messaged me with it and gone, good grief, what's this? But the other 2 for me are absolute ballers. The grey, the white and the black. I love them.
Yeah. Steve, have you ordered one?
You know what? I agree to a certain extent. Sometimes you have to push that envelope, don't you? And it is obviously a homage to the old Shaw's Carpet shirt. I don't like the way it does fade to white. I agree with Ian on that. If it were all red, I think that would look better. But I think it's a grower, and I need to see it in the flesh before I make my mind up. I mean, the obvious thing is, if you don't like it, don't buy it. Simple as that.
Yeah.
Everybody's entitled. Everybody happy. That's it, and you're never going to do that. If it's a marketing ploy, let's be honest, it's worked in spades, because everybody's talking about it. Everybody's talking about Barnsley Football Club. Love it or hate it, it's all over national press. So that's worked.
Yeah,
you can't say it's not.
Trending on Twitter, 3rd most talked about subject was Barnsley FC.
Excellent. You look at some Italian shirts for this season, some away shirts that Italians have got. They're way, way, way worse than ours. Some of them are vile, but it creates a talking point. And at the end of the day, some people, a lot of people are going to buy it. Because if out, it'll become a collector's item in 15, 20, 25, 30 years' time.
Well, how many sponsors did we have last year? Are we going for are we sticking with US Mobile now?
Yeah, it's about 2 or 3 year deal, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
But the thing is, as well, that's another thing. If they're putting the money in and they said, well, you know what? All right, make badge a bit smaller, but you still want to be able to see it. It's their money that's keeping us going. So you do what they want. Simple as that. And if it gets us a few more shirt sales in America, is it not all about making money? Because it's that vicious circle of, if we ain't got money, you're not going to keep a manager. You're not going to keep players because you're never going to pay them anywhere near enough to make them want to stay.
And
that's you've got to put a bit of a business head on it, and not just say, well, I don't like it because it's got a 5-pointed or 6-pointed star on it.
No, and that's why I think Julianne Key comes into her own, doesn't she? Especially with her background, and having a US sponsor and the stars might really appeal. And you know what? If it brings, and like I say, I normally look at it and then I think, what's that for? What does that? What? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. You know, like teams that win, you know, the Champions League or this or the World Cup, and you get the little stars. You think, I thought, what do these stars resemble? Because I didn't know. I thought there was like a story behind it or whatever. Clearly,
well, all right, then. Yeah, I'll ask you a question then. You know, when Shaw's carpet shirt came out back in day.
Well, I don't.
What did stars resemble then?
Was
it just a case that they put stars on shirt just because they could?
Listen,
I'm only being devil's advocate. I'm not trying to be awkward at all. Me awkward. Oh dear.
But they just seem. If it was, I don't like the fading because we're red, the Reds. So why are we fading to white? Because that. Anyway, listen, it's the shirt. Last little bit then, fixtures have come out. So we now know that the last away is Blackpool. Weather should be good, lads. You know?
Fancy dress.
Just saying.
Ole.
Way things are going, mate, it'll be sackcloth because we'll all be in bloody mourning because we're going down to Division 2. But I'm not being pessimistic. Oh no. Not gonna. Oh no, not me. Me? No.
No, but
just out of interest though, because that's what I was just looking at. Somebody said on Twitter about them stars. Why have we gone for 6-pointed star when on American flag it's actually 5-pointed star? Just put that out there.
I don't know. Answers on a postcard, or you could.
But it's Star of David, isn't it, with 6 points?
Mate.
Just saying.
I just want my team.
Not being controversial.
Can we move on from Stargate now?
Hey, that were a good that were a good series. That I enjoyed Stargate. Kurt Russell were in original film. Then they made a series of it. Watch that if you get a chance. 8 out of 10.
It's the first friendly of the pre-season. I'm just
anybody going? I'll put my new shirt on. Oh no, wait, not while September anyway. When it comes. What a waste of time that is. What's the point? Put it on pre-order. It's coming September. Might have it for Christmas. I don't understand that. Sorry, carry on, Carlo. I didn't want to interrupt you, man.
I think we've all had a rant tonight.
That's because we haven't recorded for a few weeks. And listen, there's a lot that needs to happen. Before that first home match, Port Vale, isn't it? I believe the first match of the season for there's a lot that needs to happen. It's not even funny, is it? But then I've realised that we start the season. I think it's on the first day that I go on holiday, so I miss it anyway because I'm flying to Crete. Manager, players, there's a lot still to be decided. By then, we might have liked the home kit. Some of us might never do. I think it's important to remember it's hard to please everybody all of the time. Let's hope this season is less about own goals and more about away goals and winning goals. We will reconvene again in a few weeks, ready for the season starter. Have we got everything out of our system, lads? Do we feel a little bit better, Ian?
Cleansed.
I love it. Yeah. Cleansed. Steve, are you feeling okay?
It's going to be a season of calm serenity. I can feel it. I'm just going to be calm. I'm not going to be controversial in any way, shape, or form. No more swearing. I'm a reformed character. And if you believe that, you'll believe fucking anything.
You've been listening to the Reds Report, Barnsley FC's longest-running podcast. We're sponsored by Barnsley Sport and part of the Talk Sport network of fans. We'll be back in a couple of weeks previewing the season with our good friends from Red All Over. Yeah, same as last year. Some predictions, a bit of laughter, probably some breakfast as well. That's if Steve comes in.
I didn't get no breakfast last year, though, did I? Went and had your bloody own breakfast is what you did.
I thought you were going to be calm and serenity.
Didn't get no breakfast, though, did I?
Thank you for joining us. We'll be back in a couple of weeks.